7:05. And we will go into regular council meeting. This time we'll stand and Brian, were you gonna lead invocation?
Our most kind, gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for transparency. We ask you for an open mind, your leadership and your guidance. We ask you that you open our hearts to the jobs that we do, to the teamwork that we should share. We ask that you forgive us of our many sins as we forgive those who sin against us. In Christ's name, amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Okay, this time we have a presentation by Misty Rhodes, discuss costs incurred at 302 East Henderson Street, Overton. And if you didn't get a chance to, if you want to speak before council, you do need to fill out a green card and get to Ms. Lisa.
I'm really not a speaker, and I don't know if y'all got to read what,
You might want to speak in the mic, because we're just getting, hey, we got a picture. So,
It's back and forth.
I don't know if y'all got a chance to read the thing that I sent as to why I wanted to be here.
we did.
Um,
It was in our packet.
well, that's pretty much, I mean, I don't care to get up here and just talk about the whole thing, but I incurred a lot of plumbing expenses that were not necessary. I mean, the plumbing issue was on the city side, and I couldn't get anyone to address it without a clean out, which my house has been there for 73 years and has never had a clean out. And so I know it was possible to go without a clean out, and had the manholes been addressed properly, they would have found the issue on the city side. And I just don't know when it became the customer's responsibility to prove that it's a city problem, because I would have had no plumbing bills at all, and the city cleared the problem.
May I speak?
Sure.
We do have a process of elimination, and we're not gonna go out and dig up a state highway to figure out if it's the main or not. When we need a clean out on a residence so that we can go to the main. Blake, could I get you to give some forethought to this?
I'd be happy to. Now, we have, this item's on the agenda, correct, at a later,
Yes, number 6.
so I can address it then, Shane, or now.
Whatever you suggest.
Well, because we're in citizens' comment,
Yes.
I'd probably recommend that I get to the agenda item, and then I'd be happy to visit with council.
Thank you. Y'all had this in your packet. Are there any questions you might have for Misty, or don't let me stop you if you have more.
Well, I just I don't understand. I mean, and I'm not trying to be ugly and rude or anything like that, but if the city had everything up to code as far as where the manholes were, you wouldn't have to dig up a state highway to find it. You could do the jet truck, you could run your cameras, you could do what you need to do and find the problem. Just like they found an issue when they finally went down to the intersection of Rusk and Henderson. When the Henderson truck went in, they found an issue. And so,
You do realize how old this city is and the problem.
yes, and I'm not trying to blame,
Okay.
I'm not trying to blame you for
Because
anything.
all this was here before we got here.
Yes, and that's
And
what I'm
it
saying.
was here before
Yes.
50 years ago.
Yes.
And so it's an ongoing problem, and it's an ongoing process to try to eliminate these problems in the fix this.
Yes, and
And
I understand,
We're doing all we can do,
right, but
and if anybody can do any better, I'll happily step down.
I'm not trying
But
to say
I'm just letting
anything
it out there,
towards
I'll
you,
be
Shane.
glad to step down.
Like I said, I'm not saying anything negative
Right.
towards you. And I know that some of that stuff may have sounded like it because I was angry when I was writing it. And
Right.
that was not my intent. But what I am saying is that had the manhole been checked before I ever hired a plumber, you would have found the problem.
Rick, did we check the manholes?
Yep, that pipe was buried under, down at the bottom. We found it from the other side.
But you did see
Yep.
a little bit of flow.
When I first
So it would
looked
give
at
you an idea that there was a little bit of flow, and we thought, well, everybody's on vacation. You know, it's process of elimination.
There was also water just sitting, and your people also told me that that manhole did not even come, or the line didn't even come from my direction. And I specifically asked, could there be a blockage as to why you're not?
We're
finding it?
learning, we're learning.
And
And we found out we was wrong. The line did come from several different directions.
yes,
I mean, it's
right,
part
but
of it.
should that cost me $7,000?
Everything
Y'all
that you spent bettered your yard, it bettered inside your property. It had nothing to do with the city of Overton.
But had I covered the hole up, you couldn't have finished your job, which is what I was told. I had to leave the ditch open for 11 days for y'all to get your job done. So that was a service to y'all. I mean, if I'd have dug it up, then obviously I would still have an issue because y'all wouldn't have been able to do it. So I don't understand how that falls on me.
Council have any questions for Missy at this time? Okay. This is, you mean to say anything else?
I guess not.
Okay. This is a line item, and we'll let, our attorney approach it at that time, when we get down to that time.
And when will that happen?
It's item number 6. Okay, well, to the public forum, each individual will be allowed 3 minutes, and I don't see any green cards, at this time, so we will move on to the next, item, which is the consent agenda, and we only have one item on the consent agenda. It's not controversial routine item the council may act on in a single vote. And it is last month's minutes. The only thing I saw was Michael Paul made a motion last time to table a certain item, and I think in the agenda at that time it was put postponed, so we need to put that one into correction.
So we'll start saying postpone instead of.
No, you use the word table, and it's in postponed in the agenda, so it's just a minor correction. That's on page 13 in your packet. What's the wish of the council?
Motion to approve with the correction.
A motion to approve with correction. Do we have a second? Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes 5-0. A, on statutory business items. This time, the table motion you tabled last time, we need to remove from the table, discuss and take action on utility billing proposal concerning water bills to reduce expenses associated with postage, printing, and other administrative costs, maintain a balanced budget, cover operational costs, invest some ongoing improvements of our water infrastructure, save customers time, and provide less human error and paperwork. And we need a motion to remove it from the table.
I'll make the motion to remove it from the table.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes 5-0. Okay, at this time, this item is on the table, and it is before the council this time, and, I think someone mentioned last time about going to each one individually. Is that what the council would like to do at this time? Nod head, whatever.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, okay. Okay, A under that is have customers absorb 3.5% surcharges on credit card and debit card processing transactions. Customers would still be able to pay their bills via check or cash without paying this surcharge. Shane, anything you should say?
Not on this item, but there is pretty much credit card or debit card.
What it is the city has been absorbing this 3.5% on these fees, and, most other cities, and maybe even illegal, is it illegal, Blake, you term it illegal for us to absorb this, or just?
It's not illegal.
It's not
Not
illegal,
illegal.
to absorb it, it's not illegal, but it's also very common that, those expenses are passed on to the customer just to make the city whole, for our absorption of those fees, so a lot of cities do it.
Okay.
These fees, do add up to about $2,800 to $3,000 a month, correct? Yeah. So it's quite a bit of money, over 30,000 a year. In just that particular charge.
That's what it's costing the city, right?
Yeah, that's what it's been costing the city for several years. You know, they've been real generous for a long time, and real broke for a long time.
Oh, motion to approve.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
And this is the same thing that the county uses when you go to the county, like to register your vehicle. They call it a convenience fee that they charge.
Yeah, they'll have a credit card fee and a processing fee. Usually that processing fee will be like in here, it shows it's $5 processing fee. Which right now, the city of Overton has a $2 processing fee, already active right now. But that's, yes, there's two different charges there that you normally see.
Any discussion, any more discussion on this item? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Have customers pay 10% rate on late fees instead of $10 flat fee. I think Catherine has told me that, our average bill is around $65. Those under $100 are gonna actually benefit from this. Those overs gonna have their rates raised a little bit, but they will have the late fee, 10% on each delayed billing after that too, so. Just like you do your credit card. You don't pay your credit card on time, you get a fee.
Is this to encourage citizens to pay on time and or generate
That's what we're hoping.
knowledge?
And or just pay.
Yeah.
Most of the time, they kind of skip out, pay it on time, and then they, like especially if it's renters, and then they'll not pay on time, and then they're gone. And then the city's sitting there holding a $200 or $300 water bill that we can't do anything with. But look at it.
So is that what, most cities around here charge 10% or?
What y'all are being presented with right here is the exact same thing Troop does. That was the model right there. I talked to Gene over there, and it's exactly what Troop does, nothing any different is what we're presenting. Not saying it's right, wrong, or indifferent, it's just, that's what another, city our size, it's pretty much the same thing as we are.
It seems that this 10% would be a lot, cheaper than it's $10 of
Gas is
gasoline.
under a hundred.
Yeah.
What's the wishes of the council?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Got a motion second to approve. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, motion passes 5-0. Number C is eliminate mailing of late water bills.
This is about $300 a month, give or take, just depends on how many people find. So that's roughly 33, anywhere from 3,300 probably to up closer to $4,000 a year.
Catherine, assume this, the late fee would be put on the next month's water bill, is what we're gonna do, because we don't mail a bill in between there, you just get your next month's bill and that has a late fee on there.
Correct.
So that's what we're looking at, with, I guess, the penalty. So,
And you would have on your current water bill, payment due, it would be in red,
Right.
so.
what's the wishes of the council?
Make a motion, we eliminate that one, one of those.
A second?
I'll second it.
A motion second? Any discussion?
Just one,
Yes, sir.
is this always, is everybody in the city, bill due on the same day?
Yeah.
So there's gonna be something printed on the new bills, this would have passed.
The late, I guess the late
Giving
portion will be
instructions.
printed in a separate place that has gotta be paid now or something, like you said.
Yes, their late fee will be automatically added on the next bill.
Okay.
It's just something that, okay.
So when they get their bill, they'll have their last month bill with the late charge plus their bill for that, right?
And no
Yeah.
water to use, that we'll have it cut off.
I guess it'll have, probably have a cutoff date on that one, after when that second bill, yeah. That's what I was thinking. Any other discussion, questions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes 5-0. Transition from paper-based billing to email billing and auto draft in order to help preserve natural resources, reduce the environment impact associated with paper construction production, disposal, and leading to a more efficient billing system. With auto draft and paperless billing, the customer will receive $2 credit discount toward the water bill. That doesn't mean everyone will go to that, but they're trying to encourage, I assume we're trying to encourage, you get a paper bill, if you can work with it and get an email, they'll do it that way. Otherwise, you'll get a paper bill for those that want it, so, but we're trying to move it over that way.
The only problem I can see at some point is people that don't have
Right,
email, they don't have smartphones.
they'll still get the paper bill.
So would they have to come up here and ask for that?
They wouldn't
No,
say
it's-
$2, they wouldn't say $2, they would still have to pay the regular amount,
Just like they normally
normally
pay
do,
with the check, cash, credit card.
but just if it's a credit card, they'll have additional fees.
But to get mailed to them, they would
I'm
have.
assuming there's something on the water bill, is there something on the water bill that'll say, like, when we send, say we're gonna start this next month? When you get this month, so there's something on there for you to sign up for paperless,
Well, like
Billing.
mine's got auto draft on there every month, so I guess it'd be,
it's like however you know to do that, if you don't try to get that out.
We can put it in the memo section on the next bill, or whatever we adopt here and put in place. We'll put it printed on the next bill, so that way they can take advantage of that option.
So they would either call up here or get in contact with
Come
somebody.
up here and sign up for auto draft and paperless billing, both of those to receive that $2 credit.
But as you go down there, I mean, we'll get through that health deal, I help a whole lot with that. I'm looking to that.
Is there any, what's the desire of the council?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion approved, 5-0. Increase the water cutoff rate from 25 to $30.
Motion approved.
Who said it? Or Michael? Sorry, my head stopped up, I can't hear where things are coming from. Do they have a second?
Second.
A motion second, any discussion? All in favor?
On this one,
Excuse me.
So if you got a fellow or family that can't, you know, somebody might be in a bind, so can we use this as in discretion? Or, I mean, cause I don't wanna charge somebody more, it's like a punishment because they can't pay the water bill and it gets.
In our ordinance, it says that they can come up here and talk with me, and we can work something out. But what we have here, and I didn't realize this, you just have to be there to understand what's going on. So you'll have all these cutoffs. So we go scramble all over town. Me and Rick found this out firsthand, and I about just lost my whatever. And we go all over town and cut all this water off, put locks on everything, and we don't even get out to a stop sign on Kingsway, and people's calling, we need our water cut on. We paid the bill. What are we doing here? So we chase our tails going all back through town, cutting water on. I said, this is crazy. So we started calling everybody, a courtesy call, to try to beg you to come up here and pay before we go cut that off. So, I mean, we're taking every precautionary step before we do this. But at least when we do this, at least we get paid somewhat. You know, we recover. We're never gonna recover everything, but at least we recover something.
Any other discussion, questions? Oh, yes, sir.
Council, something else I tell you, maybe the city manager didn't know, Patrick and I were just discussing it. We can also utilize, our new Smart 911 or the rave deal that we got to communicate with the public, to send out a message that everybody with a cell phone that signed up for that would receive. So they wouldn't have you know, if they sign up for it, we send the message.
They wouldn't have an excuse.
No, sir. Not after you get your not after you get your bill and you get your message from the Smart 911, I mean, you'll be notified, I think, ample time.
Any other questions? Okay, we have motion second. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion passes 5-0. Place a QR code on the back of the water bill. Basically, this QR code will just take you to the billing, instead of working through the old system, it will take you straight to the billing section. Like Adam, at the
Straight to the
This
payment
is-
screen.
payment section.
The
Are y'all
payment screen
familiar
is similar to-
with the QR code? I'm sure everybody is.
I won't use it.
Tuck, are you familiar with that? Where you go to a restaurant and you put your phone up there and take that picture and you see the menu, and then after you get through eating, you put it back on there and you type in your credit card number, you're paid, you walk out.
My 12-year-old would help out.
There you go,
just
that's
fine.
right, that's right.
I can't get the menu back on.
Well, you gotta stay off those porn sites.
That's what you do.
But that's what that is. It's basically just to make things easier and simpler.
So how does that work? We can buy our own code?
Mhm.
Our own
It's
stamp?
on
No.
your bill.
I think it's back in your
You scan
packet
it.
page,
Yeah.
I
It's
forget.
on your,
Last thing on there, 37, I think.
You have that code, you know, the city.
Oh,
It's free to just generate a code, and then that would be ours, linked to our City of Overton payment portal, and we'll just print it real small right in the corner of the water bill, so they can just scan it as soon as they receive their bill, it takes you right to the payment station. Doesn't
Yeah,
cost them.
that's all I got. What's the wish of the council?
Motion approved.
That's right, Michael. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, motion passes 5-0. Add $5 fee to help offset expenses related to dedicating employee time to process phone payments.
I would like to say something. August 13th of 2020, council voted and approved, this particular, it was actually a rate high in 2020. C.R. Evans was mayor, Travis Freeman, John Posey, Mayor Pro Tem, Jerry Clark, Reggie Thompson, Michael Paul Williams, and it was voted 5-0. And it's a
How much was that fee?
$2 processing fee. And, on our website, it shows $1.25, which Councilman Stone pointed out, but after Kathy went to the minutes, she found this. And, so this is something that's already been voted on and approved. If we're gonna, we're just kinda looking at Troop, if we're gonna do something kinda like what they're doing, it's just to fall in line and raise it up. I'm not gonna say raise it up to $5, that's what Troop does. But as we all know, times are more costly nowadays, so things have to be kinda looked at like that.
When was that voted on?
August 13th, 2020.
That's already in there for the $2.
Yes.
Is that?
We have not been using
Not
that.
been doing.
We didn't know it, we didn't know to use it. But we will start, or whatever council approves tonight.
What is the wishes of the council?
So Shane, what do you think would be a fair price?
I mean, me honestly, I just kind of looked around at what other places were doing, and, you don't want to top out, but you don't want to be on the bottom. You kind of get kind of the mediocre, and my suggestion is $3. Just to, just don't kill everybody at one time. But, in another way, you can eliminate this, don't pay with credit card. So, but that's my suggestion, but I'm not saying if you leave it $2, I'm good. If you raise it $3, raise it $5, I'm good. It's just, I just know that in today's times, you gotta come up, everything else has come up, insurance, living costs in general, so, for this to survive up here, it's gotta kinda get with the times also.
How long does it take for them to process it when they call again?
It doesn't take long, no. It doesn't take long at all.
So that would be the service, the $2, which you're supposed to be being charged now, plus if they're calling for the credit card,
Would be 3.5. Yeah, $2, well, which we haven't been charging, it was, like I say, voted on and approved, but, you would be charged that plus 3.5, or whatever y'all decide, for the, to charge. You can lower it, you can lower it down from that, it's just whatever y'all decide. And, when we're coming back in here asking for money, you know where it comes from.
What would the council like to do?
Council members, can y'all see any place where this might be a problem? Or you think? The one person I can think of is my 92-year-old mother who can't see, and she needs some help. She's not gonna pay online. And, she calls, and then they're gonna charge her $4 or $5 more, which is not a lot, but, pick up stuff. I'm not saying I'm for or against it, I'm thinking out loud.
It's a good point.
You said this was
Voted.
approved, this was approved in 2020, right?
We can leave it at that.
It was approved in 2020.
From
They was just, Councilman Stone's just kind of throwing up the devil's advocate there. Just something to just kind of think on, you know, just kind of give it some thought process and say, is this the right thing or is it the wrong thing? Is all these, I think I'm.
You're right, and now the city's gonna start charging the 3.5% by using the credit card. I don't know how much time is spent by people calling.
Which we spend that, we spend that 3.5, we pay that out.
I just don't know how much time is being spent by the staff, and take those phone calls that are not by any means, saying that that's taking up a lot of their time away for it. Again, I'm just,
Leave it at the $2 fee that's already on there if we take no action, or I guess it'd be left at the $2 fee if we take no action, or you can add $1,
Yeah, and
$5, it's up to y'all.
if y'all decide to leave it there, I'm gonna put it back on the agenda and come back at you in a couple of months, ask for more, because it is a processing fee and it does take up some time. It's a madhouse for a few days there during that time, and you can't do nothing. You can't do any of your other job. You're just sit there, you know, by the time you think you got a break, you get hit again.
so there's quite a number.
It adds up to right at $3,000 a month
Oh, yeah.
in processing.
I was talking about
Right, but
Call.
just, yeah,
the $2.
but
I'm not talking about the 3.5.
there's a lot more calls than the credit card, yeah.
Brian?
Yeah, I would just like to ask the council to keep in mind the cost of inflation from the date that was passed to now, and what it actually cost you for an employee now versus what it cost then to do the job. And you can't just look at the hourly wage of the employee, but you have to also include the benefits package that goes with that and how much it has risen over that period of time. So you're not, the employees you hire today, you're not getting them for the same price that you were getting them for 2 years ago or 3 years ago. They're costing the city more money. And we already have an issue not being able to pay the employees enough money. So it all has to work hand in glove, you know, it's gotta go hand in hand together.
And we're looking at, everybody up here right now is thinking utility bill, that's all you're thinking of right now. So let's go back and open it up and let's think about everything the credit card we do with, you know, online or credit cards. So let's go to courts. When you pay with a credit card or online, calling it produces a world of paperwork. That costs, you got ink, you got paper. I mean, we get charged by the copy through our copier in there, and plus we pay a monthly fee on it. And then you got, let's say a young man or woman going out to the golf course and going to play around the golf. Hey, I'd like to get a Coke before I go out there and just take that credit card and tap it on there. And there's 3.5% for $1. You know, there's a lot of extra costs that we're not seeing. It's not just utility bill, it's everything, you know, it's all across the board there.
Now, I can assure you, we're gonna go over on the budget for the PD copy machine,
Oh, yeah.
because it's utilized by courts as well. So I'm glad you pointed that out.
And-
City Manager.
And there's your city council agenda right there for tonight. And I don't know how many of them things are printed off, a lot more than we see right here. And it's like, it's a lot of money.
That's $4,000 a year that was allotted for the PD, just the PD copy machine. 4,000, and we're gonna bypass that 4,000. Because everything's going up, papers, everything, toner cartridges, paper, there's service calls, everything. Milk, eggs, cheese, chicken. It's just the world we're in now. Hot sauce.
What's the wishes of the council? I believe it should be raised above the $2. I'm gonna leave that up to you outside. Somebody wants to be a bad guy, right?
I'd like a motion to add a $3 fee to help offset.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, David. We had a $3 fee instead of a $5 fee. Any discussion?
You said add.
I'm sorry, I'll make that a $3 fee.
$3 fee flattened, so if it's $3 fee instead of the $5 fee. That's the way I like it. That's the way you want it.
Second.
Chris. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes 5-0. Discussion and take action on OMDD payment of $12,000 administration fees to city be used for payment on loan taken by city from OEDC August 2021. Basically, they've gotten behind on the monthly payment. Is $1,000 a month that they pay for administrative costs, and it's a one lump sum. So I thought it'd be safe and bring it before the council since it was otherwise. So, but it's really an administration cost for the last year, at least. I think she knew for sure it hadn't been paid the last 12 months. And we're gonna apply it to the OEDC loan. We owe 50,000 debt, and I forget now what we're down to, but it's getting, how much? 15, that's what I thought. What's the wish of the council?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
The motion second, any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes 5-0. Discuss and take action on the city's code of ordinance to remove the house square footage requirement from zoning ordinance exhibition exhibit 9A, section 6.05, pages 9A to 15 and 9A 16, motion made 2023. And you see the side down there, yes, and, you should have had a receipt for first thing said, I neglected to add that Chairman Rainey of the Plain Zoning Board requested item 3. Minimum area for dwelling unit to be added to the council agenda. See the minimum there? Lot 6,000 or more are required to have at least 1,000 square foot living area on it. Lots less than 6,000 are required to have 750. What's the will?
And what is it that they're recommending?
What Robert Rainey brought this to my attention, of course, he's on the planning zoning board, but what he said is that, this was brought in here from the Decatur ordinance, and he said, there's a lot of houses already in Oakland that doesn't meet these requirements, and some of them are nice little houses, quaint houses. Hopefully with our code enforcement, we'll continue with that particular deal. But a good point that he brought up, he said, if you would take this out of the ordinance to where somebody, you might have an older couple that just needs 600 square foot to live in versus 1,500 square foot. And that's what he's saying. He just doesn't feel like we have the right to say, hey, you gotta build X amount of square feet on your particular lot, or you can't live here in Overton. But he's, if you would allow something like this, you would kind of steer the trailer houses and manufactured homes kind of out of the equation at some point.
So I take it his suggestion is to eliminate minimum square footage house per lot type situation.
For both 1,000 square, for just all of this? So
Just
somebody
eliminate that
can
ordinance.
build a 500 square foot home?
That's up to the council. That's a suggestion.
I'm gonna disagree with this right now. I'm not gonna support this. We've got an opportunity right now to raise the minimum square footage of homes in in Overton, 1,300 square feet. It's gonna increase tax revenue for the city, increase tax revenue for the schools. And by increasing these tax revenues, the city may be able in the future to get closer to making long-term improvements. If you allow people to come in, build whatever size square foot home they want, we're never gonna crawl out of this hole. This is, to me, it's like a young person investing in their IRA for retirement. All of you that have put in IRAs at some point, put in as much as you could. You're not putting in the minimum. This is, to me, it's reducing the amount that you can put in for your retirement. And increasing revenue now, I think will make it better quality of life for our young people in the future as they become older adults. I'm finished.
I just would like to ask the council, do y'all have an idea of what an affordable home is now and how much it costs? The square footage in an affordable home? Okay, so like, I know everybody's heard of Jason Campbell in Bullard there, Campbell Homes. He's got a lot of advertisements on the TV, so he built 4 or 5 homes right outside of Troop, going towards New Summerfield in we call it Dead Man's Curve, real sharp curve right there. These homes are just a little over 1,000 square foot, and they're concrete pads, vinyl siding, just a square home. I mean, nothing fancy about it. He started building these. He had contracts on all of them before they was built for $185 a square foot. That's your affordable home, man. That's what your affordable home. And so that's, I don't know, you can, what Robert Rainey is trying to suggest here, you know, that might kind of steer everybody away from a trailer house and build something smaller, and you might could kind of defeat, you know, just kind of meet in the middle somewhere. That's, I also know where David's coming from.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and, you know, think about it, why aren't people, are we talking about people that are already living here or people that are wanting to move here? Because Overton's a cheap place to live. I can build an 800 square foot home there. I can't do it in Tyler or Jacksonville or Henderson. So are they moving here, or is it people that are already here that they want a newer home but they can't afford to build a $230,000? I don't know.
Another thing you can look at is our infrastructure can only afford so much. You can only do so much. You know, we're at some point in time, like we've allowed some houses to come in here and build, but our infrastructure can only support so much. So at some point in time, you'll have to put the brakes on until you want to. You know, like you reach 70% of your 70% of your well capacity, you got to drill another well. We don't need that. We don't need that problem right now. So you got to kind of look like David's saying. You know, do you shoot for a bigger house, or do you shoot for a smaller house? You know, what do you know? But that's Robert's suggestion. That's what he's suggesting right there.
Just remember, if you vote to remove this, it removes it, I guess, everywhere in the city. That means Kingsway and even in our neighborhood, so.
And to say that one more time?
Say if you vote to remove this, it removes it everywhere in the city. That means Kingsway, or build small houses on those lots,
That's right.
or anyone over in our neighborhood, rural neighborhood, so.
So this
The
just.
discussion is to remove it or not to remove it, so yes, y'all.
So if this is removed anywhere in town, they can build.
That's what
whatever
I'm
size they
assuming,
want.
unless there are some code things on a different section.
So I hope we'll consider at least some reasonable minimum square foot.
I don't think it should be just anywhere in town, but at the same point, okay, so I'm on the council, so I have to be able to represent everybody. not just a select group of people. Everybody can't afford $300,000 home. So are we gonna just represent the higher class people? What about the middle class people, the poor people? Or somebody that wants to, maybe, house that they're living in, they wanna upgrade a little bit. And take that old house that they're living in and get something a little bit fancier.
Does anyone know what the minimum home cost, how about the average home price in Overton going for now?
About all over, if it's some kind of a brick structure with vinyl siding, you're looking at roughly $185 square foot.
I'm talking about an existing home.
Oh, an existing?
I mean, I saw one by the school the other day, built in 1931, it's pending for $240,000.
And look at it.
And there's homes all over town that are well over 150 that I wouldn't have thought were in 75.
But I wouldn't give 50 for.
So the thing is, I understand what you're saying, Chris, the prices are gonna go up. But at the same time, we've got to consider the future. And I totally, wholeheartedly agree with what you're saying. But it's kind of like a double-edged sword. So we're gonna have to make the best decision we can to try to live it.
Need a motion to either remove the ordinance or keep the ordinance as it is.
That permanent structure would also gain in value, increase in value, kept upright, versus a manufactured home or a trailer house, which will decrease in value year after year after year. So it's something else you have to consider.
Can I see something in here?
Sure.
That $240,000 home or $220,000 home up by the school, when it was built, you're looking at 60,000, maybe 40,000. My dad built a bunch of homes in Overton, and they were in the neighborhood of, 1,100 square feet, 1,200 square feet. Jack Barrett was one of them. And so your small home that you have will increase in value. And where you have, if you're encouraging people of limited means to move outside of Overton so they can have a cheap trailer, you lose that tax incentive from that. So I think we need to look at having a mixture of the best that we can have.
Blake, I got a question. Is there any way that we can zone a certain amount of feet of houses in areas and other areas zone them different?
Sure. You can divide up, so residentially, you could create different residential districts that if you wanted to as a council, you could have different square foot minimums in those particular residential districts. So you could do that if the council wanted to. Instead of just saying anywhere in the city limits, it has to be X amount of square feet. You could do a study or you could workshop it, you could do whatever you wanted to say, we think this type size house mixes in well with this district or would mix in with this district, may not go over here on this. So yes, you can do that. Let me just add one other thing. If we do decide to amend or repeal this, we'll have to come back next month and actually do it with an ordinance. So that's just, that's a housekeeping thing.
Maybe this is something we need to take and come back to and have our city manager come up with some other solutions, or maybe a council member or two work with him and or the mayor, so that you don't have to want for some input. It's just a thought.
What's the wish of the council? You can table or not take any action, you come back
I
to it
make a
anytime.
motion to table.
I'll second that.
Have a motion and second to table it. Does it, Blake, does, if table, does it have to come up next time, or is it any time can it be pulled off the table?
It can be pulled off anytime, so,
Okay, that's what I was
if you wanted to table it, you wouldn't necessarily have to pull it off the table or bring it back on the agenda in August, just at some point.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes 5-0. Number 4, discuss and take action on interlocal agreement between the city of Overton and Russ County for fire code and investigation services, including inspection services at a later date. Blake and Patrick.
Good evening, council. So, after the fire we had on Ward Street, Chief Poole would come to me and ask about a interlocal agreement. As a fire marshal for the county, I can investigate and, support and, enforce code within the unincorporated parts of Russ County. To be able to do that in the cities legally, I have to have an interlocal agreement. I have one currently with the city of Mount Enterprise. New London has one. They're putting it on their, agenda as well. And then as soon as, Chief Rayford Gibson gets back in Tatum, his will be going on their agenda as well. Basically, all it boils down to is me being able to come in here and help out the police department, when they have, fires that need investigating. Most everything that goes with it, it's not something I'm able to jump on fairly quickly. I get the state fire marshal's office out to assist me on pretty much everything, just like I do the rest of the county. But this just gives me the leeway to be able to help out and, do it, actually file cases through the city, in the city court.
Brian, do you have anything to add?
I would just like to encourage the council to consider this heavily. We do not have a current fire investigator on the police department, and nor do I intend to have a fire investigator on the police department. This would benefit in a lot of ways. Patrick and I have worked together for a lot of years. I trust him in his decision, and he listens to me as well. So we work well together. It's not a case of, somebody coming in and trying to take anything over. Also, at a later date, and I think the way the interlocal agreement read was, if we look at the county fire codes and things of that nature, and we adopted those, we come back with a resolution or whatever and adopt those codes, then he would be able to assist us in inspections and things of that nature. That's huge. That's huge. Because before, and I know, Paul, you remember, they had Richard Sisk that was doing that. Well, guess what? We were paying for that service. That was costing us. This, and I'm not gonna say it's 100% free, but there's no cost up front. It's just working and sharing together.
Taxpayers' dollars is huge.
All the way around,
All the way around.
because our citizens here in Russ County, they pay county tax. It's just that the county people don't pay city tax.
That's right.
So why not utilize all of your resources that you can possibly have? Because I'm gonna call him anyway. I'm just letting you know, I'm not a fireman.
And the thing about it, even with fire code, because Russ County has less than 250,000 in population, I cannot adopt a fire code for Russ County. The county has to be 250,000 in population, or I have to have a contiguous county that's touching us that is 250,000 to adopt code, which is totally fine with me. All it says in there is that although I cannot adopt code, I have to follow whatever the state fire marshal's office follows when it comes to that. So a lot of the stuff that we do is looking through is our life safety code, NFPA 1, and that's what I follow through.
Only question I had was, it says, page 39, the local government has adopted, the same local fire code is currently adopted by the county, and the one right after that means the fees, permits, you'll be looking at our code to see whether we need to upgrade them or update them to match
Correct,
the county.
that'll be something totally up to y'all. Whatever you currently have in place ordinance-wise, I would just need a copy of that so I can follow in line with what your ordinances are.
Yeah.
If you have fees with that, then it just falls in line, and the fees don't come back to us, they come back into the city of Overton.
Okay.
The The only other caveat to that is if anything that is brought up to us that we find that is a criminal in nature, we'll go through your city, judicial system. And then from there, as we move up, if we need to, then it'll go up to the county's side of it. But other than that, everything stays within the city.
Okay.
Questions?
You got any questions? What's the desire of the council?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming.
Yes, sir.
Have a motion approved, motion second. All those, any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes 5-0. Discuss and take action on the city's code of ordinance to repeal enforcement of offenses from chapter 8, offenses and additional provisions, article 802, minors, division 2, curfew, published May 2023. Bryce, would you like to handle this?
I can address it real quickly. So, one thing that came out of the legislative session a couple of months ago was a bill that was signed into law by Governor Abbott that prohibits cities now in the state of Texas from having a juvenile curfew. So, we have one like tons of cities around the state, and so everyone is having, in order to get in line and be consistent with the new law that takes effect September 1, we're needing to repeal this juvenile curfew ordinance.
Decision of the council? Hey, we gotta do it, guys.
I'm not saying I agree with it, it's just, Governor
I
Abbott
went
signed
and read the thing where it was, it's just one short paragraph they got in there, that you gotta repeal it. You can't-
Let me address that real quick. So
2 seconds.
there are still ways, just to give you all a little peace of mind. There are still ways to deal with juveniles outside of a juvenile curfew. We as a city and a police department, we are responsible for the safety of those juveniles that are out here roaming the streets late at night. And if we feel that they're in an unsafe situation, we have a duty to take them home to mama and daddy, or have mama and daddy come pick them up. So I probably won't be busy. They may be busy, but I'll probably be getting some phone calls. But I haven't seen an issue yet. I have in the daytime, but not at night. So I'm hoping, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I think we're gonna be all right.
I've heard of hay bales being pushed out in the middle of our cities at night, so.
Hay bales?
Yes.
If
Right across
they
from
do, bring them up here, I will pick them up the next day.
We have a motion and second, any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passed 5-0.
Who seconded it? Who seconded it?
David. Discuss and take action on request by Missy Rhodes for restitution of plumbing costs at her personal residence. Blake, I'm gonna turn this over to you.
Okay, yeah, I'll be, right to it, get right to it. So from a pure legal standpoint, anytime there's damage to a property that's caused by a blockage, sewer line, water line, the city has governmental immunity to damage caused by a blockage unless the blockage in the backflow is caused by motor-driven equipment. That is a very strange, odd thing that the legislature put in state law, but it's been there for a long, long time. And so the example would be if we were out on a backhoe, we're doing some work, we puncture a line, and then that causes a backflow of sewage into someone's house. Maybe a bad example, but it's the example I'm using. In that situation, the city would be liable. If we have a pump that's driven by a motor, and for whatever reason that pump malfunctions and it causes damage, that's another situation in which the city would have legal liability. But when we have old pipes and we have roots and we have other blockages and we have people flushing things down pipes, what the legislature said a long time ago is we're going to protect cities in those situations where a blockage may occur that is not necessarily their fault. Towns have lines going all over the place, miles and miles of lines, and you're just going to have those situations. So again, What the law says is unless the city is out either working on something or working with something that's driven by a motor, a pump, something to that effect, the city has governmental immunity. I recently defended a city. I say recently, I'm getting, time is passing me by quick. It hadn't been that recent, it's probably 10 years ago. I represented the city of Palestine in a case in which backflow of sewage into a home, terrible damage to the home. They found out that what caused the backflow and the blockage were roots that had gone through an old pipe, caused the backflow. Homeowner sued the city. I defended Palestine in that lawsuit, and ultimately the city was given a defense verdict based on the governmental immunity defense. So it's not to say that you can't. That's just the legal side of this. It's not to say that you can't take care of folks in situations like this, but the obvious issue there is if you do it for one, then you gotta do it for everybody. So it's also a situation where I know if it was turned over to TML, based on my experience with them for 25 years dealing with these kind of claims, TML would deny the claim based on governmental immunity. So I'm happy to answer any question.
We've had 3 of these issues since I've been here, and 2 of them was turned into TML, and it's exactly what Blake said. They denied it.
When you say TML, that's insurance?
Yeah.
Need a motion?
Well, I make a motion we do not reimburse her expenses.
Do we have a second? The motion, do we have a second? One more time, do we have a second? Okay, motion dies for lack of a second. Now what does the council want to do? Make a motion to send it through TML and see what they do. I guess, can we do that right?
Sure. I mean, you could do that, turn it over to the insurance company and let them make a decision. You know, would be, if there's payment made by TML, there would be a deductible we have to incur, don't know what that is. You can always do that.
That can be an alternate motion.
And we already know how that played out 2 times before.
What we're gonna do,
What's that other choice you were talking about TML?
you can take it through TML, run it through the insurance and see if they and both them see whether they approve it or not. And it'll depend on them to
And they
get the
will
judgment.
They
We
will
can
say
still
what
do that
immune
motion.
servant, so
My anticipation would be without knowing all the details, but just knowing how these claims are handled and the legality of it, TML is very strong on making sure those legal defenses are upheld. So you've got every right, if you choose to as a council, to say we'll submit it to them, for sure. As Shane has said, what I would anticipate is TML would come back and deny the claim based on governmental immunity.
just a waste of time.
But it's, again, it's up to you all to decide what you want to do.
You always pay for it and pay everybody else's problems and bankrupt your city.
why do we have to make a motion for her to take our insurance?
You don't, Michael Paul, then you can just take no action. And, if the owner wants to formally submit a claim, then, like any other claim that's submitted, Shane could present that to TMLs. You don't necessarily have to make a motion to authorize her to make a claim. So you could sit here and take no action tonight, and then the ball would be in the property owner's court to formally make a claim, that can be presented to TML.
What's the wishes of council? Once? Twice? 3 times. Take no action. Okay, number B, request for excused absence. Mayor to receive requests, if any, for leave of absence for any council members for future meetings. The next scheduled meeting is August 17th. Probably have a budget meeting before then. At the beginning of that meeting again. Possibly not, if Button County comes on with the budget, we might have a budget meeting for them as well. Make sure we get it formed before that.
Hey, I apologize for my tardiness. Is there a way, because 30 minutes is really not enough time for all the information that's being.
I agree, but, yeah. Yeah, we can put it up. Y'all just, next time might be a fuller one. That'll be after, August, we'll actually know what the taxes we'll be getting, and we'll decide which way we're gonna go on taxes. So, we can put a longer budget thing in there. Or we can start at 30 minutes early and, leave time in the meeting if we need to go back to the budget meeting. I think we did. Mayor Evans did that one year. Go back into a workshop.
We have in the past, that just did a workshop, come in like on.
Another night.
Random night, yeah.
Yeah, we may have to do that.
A while for a workshop, done that, probably.
I'd say it'd probably be after, I don't remember, the 5th, 7th, something like that, when they get a final tax thing, something like that. It'll probably be sometime like that, maybe a week or 2 before a regular meeting. Any actions for the regular one though, that you know of? Okay. City Administration Monthly Reports, City Council to hear and act if necessary on the following items. First one is City Manager's Report. Everyone's worried about the water.
Yeah, we're all worried about that. I would like to read something to the council. After last month's debacle council meeting, and I called for a personnel meeting for this morning at 8:30, but I only received 2 emails, so I took it nobody wanted to attend that. To properly direct the correct flow of communication within the city, no employee shall contact or initiate the discussion of city business with the mayor, individual council members, or city attorney without first gaining consent from the city manager. If somebody does not understand this, please speak up. This directive is not intended to disrupt or interfere with daily contact or informal communication with any employee of this city, nor is it intended to change or interfere with monthly reports given to the council by individual department heads. Code of Ordinance 2.03.124, City Manager's Duties and Responsibilities. Meet, discuss, confer with, and advise the mayor and or members of the council regarding city business. I think this also refers to an executive session. The directive does not apply to the chief of police, as the chief works under the supervision of the council. However, this directive does intend to extend to all other members of the police department and code enforcement regarding flowing their chain of command, which I will be glad to provide a chain of command letter, the flow chart, to anybody that wants it. we must follow that, or we have what we had last month. Failure to adhere to this directive will deem insubordination and will result in disciplinary action. And I would like to say thank y'all for that. So please, take heed on that. Please, everyone. Getting on to the rest of the report, Republic Services, that's our trash company, garbage company. So we got in a letter as of October 2023, we'll receive a 5.7% increase. This has nothing to do with the city. This is Republic Trash or Republic Services. Going to the utility billing side of it, and we'll probably be dealing with Blake on this, I'm sure, at some point in time. We discovered, me and Catherine, we was kind of going back and forth, I was going back and forth with Henderson, and we kind of discovered a problem with our billing, our utility billing to our Billy Maxmore prison system out here. The monthly bills, last month's monthly bill was $21,061.70. Randy and Henderson, he said, that's too cheap, something's wrong. So Catherine started digging, she started going back month to month to month, as far as we could go back, because Overton had a bad habit of changing software systems, so we went back as far as we could, and got into 2 months of 2019, I believe it was. And we found, well, I guess I better back up. So our utility billing, we have a base amount on our water and sewer. If you're outside the city limits, that limit doubles. Okay, so it's roughly $8,000 on your water and whatever. I'm sitting here looking at it. So in 2019, we was charging the prison system. In May, we charged them $37,247. In July, we charged them $33,431. This is in the old system. And about that time, we had a city manager named Charles Cunningham that quit. So then we come on over into Encode number 10. So when you change these softwares, you have to call these companies. It's the city's responsibility to call these companies and say, hey, here's our rate. They don't know what we charge, so they can't make that up. Well, about that time, you had a city secretary kill herself, and so you had a distraught office, an office full of distraught ladies up here, so there's a lot of problems going on there. So I can kind of see where this got left behind. They never got the phone call until 3 days ago. So September of 2020, we went down to $21,821, where we was $32,216. 2020, we went down to $21,821 again. This past month is when we caught this. It was $21,061.70 is what we billed the Billy Maxmore. Their bill should have been $33,254. It will be next month. Another problem we're having with Billy Maxmore is the city of Henderson, when they provide a service as far as changing out a pump, pumping out a pit to do some work, anything that the city of Henderson goes and does out there at that prison, they bill that prison for it, and that prison pays them. Billy Maxmore out here at Overton denies us payment. They will not pay. I'll send them a bill or two. They will not pay, and since I've come to work here in 2021, it's over $100,000 worth of charges. You can't go back and shut their water off because that was a service. But if they don't pay their water bill, you can go shut the water off. So that's one thing we found, that's gonna be a savings of $133,776. If the bill stays, it's gonna fluctuate. So between that and your utility billing that y'all just voted for, you saved right at $200,000 a year. I don't think we'll find any more significant fines like that, but I mean, that was a pretty good fine there. Your well number 5, so they got the, bottom of the tank sandblasted, they got the repairs made, it was 43 repairs. They started sandblasting the sides, they've gotten to the top, there's gonna have to be some repairs made to the hatch before it can be put back in service, but they've also got it coated, we're still 2 to 3 weeks out, they tell us. We got a report this morning. Well number 7, so we're out of water in the city, and we're gonna be out. They're hoping we'll have water back on in the morning around 6 or 7 o'clock. We still gotta restore the system, though. We're gonna be tomorrow evening before we can even think about it. We will turn the valve off going out 3053 to the prison until we can restore the water in town, in order to gain some pressure to send it down to out to the prison. So that's what we're looking at on that. There was. Oh, we had a golf course report, but Sharon didn't make it tonight. So we're not gonna have that.
Sonny, what's the, did you say we was repairing an auger out there?
Oh, yes, yeah, we are repairing the auger. I mean, we're gonna try to get the prison to pay for that. They said they're not gonna pay for that. They're claiming that they bought that auger in 2003 and donated it to the city to keep the prison's trash out of the city's system. It's been down since I've been here. Now, we're repairing it now, but it's gonna be pretty costly. They told us it was gonna be around 17,000, but it's probably gonna double that before they're done. They found a lot of other problems today. Once again, talking with Randy out in Henderson, he's our public works director. Anything out there at that prison, from the lift station inside the prison, he said that's what the prison pays for in Henderson. He said they do not acquire those expenses, but yet they expect Overton to acquire those expenses. We're gonna send them a bill, just send them a registered letter. I'm assuming that's what Blake would have us do, and just go from there. It's just gonna be a process.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a debt we'd go collect like any other, so if they don't pay it, then we'll have to regroup and talk about what we do. That's how we would approach it.
That's all.
Hey, police department report. Brian, Brian, you have anything?
Y'all should have had a couple of extra things to look at in there this time. That was gonna be, code enforcement. I think I had his last time as well. You should have one from, criminal investigations now
Right.
as well. Kind of keeping up with both of them, just wanna be transparent with you all, show you what everybody's doing up here. A lot of times we lump everything together because we're one police department, but we're also, we also all have separate duties. And, you know, I'm big on, hey, let's let them see what we really do, not just that we're one group and collectively this is what we all do together. So, another thing, probably some little bad news, the cadet that I had put into the police academy, after 4 weeks failed out. So we do have an opening now on the police department for a patrol officer. So that's back to the drawing board on filling that. Everything else seems to be going fairly well. We did get 4 pallets of water in this morning. I reached out to, as your emergency management coordinator for the city of Overton, I reached out to, Russ County, just kind of took it up. We reached out, filled out a STAR request for the state. TDM, which is Texas Department of Emergency Management, did bring down 4 pallets. They probably gave away, I think at least 4 that we had from the last time. Now we're working on this up here. So the citizens are taken care of as far as drinking water goes. If you need some, you live inside the city, which everybody here does, I believe. It's out in front of City Hall. Feel free to take some. I think we stashed some behind the fence just so all of it didn't walk off tonight. We hope everybody that needs some will be considerate of their neighbors and not try to take all of it all at once.
City Secretary report.
This is the first time that we've had a city secretary's report, so this reporting is from January the 1st through today. We've had 3 Freedom of Information requests. We've done 7 alcohol beverage permits. We've had 11 building permits, 4 certificates of occupancy. Our community development cases, we had a modular home, a mobile home variance, and a subdivision. The public hearing that we had was for the subdivision. We've had 5 ordinances and 3 resolutions. And personally, I've got 3 trainings through TML, 1 through TMCA for the step-by-step conduct of an election, and then 3 through the Secretary of State. And I'm required to attend so many meetings, and I've attended all of the council meetings since I was hired in February. I've attended 2 for OEDC, 3 for OMDD, and 2 for planning and zoning.
Anything from Public Works Department? Christus, EMS report. Yes, sir.
There was 37 calls received last month, 0 lost emergencies. Average response time was 16:34.
Have any questions? Thank you for staying through the meeting. Volunteer fire department, I believe you had that laying before you. I don't see anyone here.
Yes, you asked me to
Okay.
present this. We had 1 structure fire, 3 public utilities, 5 others, so that would probably be out in the county, I would think. 7 first responders. That's 6.5 man hours responding, 65.5 man hours responding, 30 total man hours training. The number of runs within the city of Overton Fire District for the reporting period was 16. The number of man hours in active service, combined training, emergency runs with Overton Fire District was 95. And that's from your Fire Chief McKenna.
And we have municipal court.
Yes.
Catherine?
So this is just the report for financial for the month of June. Court activity is right at $15,000, and that ranges anywhere from MIPs to stop sign citations, just a whole range of violations. But the court is, I think, right on track of where it needs to be, doing what it needs to be doing. Anybody have any questions for me?
Any further questions? Thank you, Catherine. And our financial report. Ms. Connie.
22, that's your expense report for everything that's been approved and entered for the month. For anybody that's curious, there's over 382 line item entries on that. On page 95, we have the bank statement. I can tell you now, the totals are going down fast because our sales tax did come in at 34,000+. But our property taxes have been reduced now till they're trickling in, 3,000 here, 3,000 there. We won't be seeing those numbers go up again until the new statements come back out in the fall. So the balance is going down because we're paying the bills. And other than that, I do want to thank Mr. Pearson because he came in when I was working Sunday and actually showed me how to put Mr. Pool's part-time budget on the budget, so that got added. That's everything I have. Thank you.
Got a question for me? Okay, one more motion. All those in favor? Get up.